What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Christmas Eve, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody's doing okay. I hope it is not as chaotic as it is in my house right now. I have a lot of family visiting, and I managed to get a little time to make a video for you because there is an important topic that I want to tackle. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about a hunch that I have and about some history regarding President John F. Kennedy. During his time in the presidency, there was an advisor he had by the name of Harald Malmgren. He's Dr. Harald Malmgren right now. He advised President Nixon and President Lyndon B. Johnson and President Gerald Ford. So the guy really had that high level of classification. But just so you know how high up he was, he's been really active on Twitter lately. And I just want you guys to read a little bit of what he did. So he writes on a tweet, 60 plus years ago, I was provided the highest level classifications to lead the Department of Defense's work on nuclear weapons and anti-missile defense, and formally briefed on otherworld technologies by CIA's Richard Bissell, who had been in charge of Skunk Works, Area 51, Los Alamos, but sworn to secrecy. This was back in August, this tweet. I had already covered this with you guys, but I wanted to remind you this because he's been active lately. On December 22nd, he wrote, I can confirm the Cuban Missile Crisis was very real, as I was in the Pentagon war room with the generals, admirals, who had to decide potential nuclear weapons response to Soviet actions. In case you don't know, recently, Matthew Pines was with Jesse Michaels talking about Dr. Malmgren. And I was really surprised because I didn't know how important Malmgren was during his time active in the government. He, as an advisor, essentially saved the world because he was the one who convinced others against the wishes of Major General Curtis LeMay. If you guys know that name, he's the first general that the United States Air Force had. And essentially, he's been considered one of the main gatekeepers in the UFO secret since the beginning. And when the Cold War was taking place, Malmgren managed to convince everybody else against LeMay's wishes of using nuclear weapons against the Soviet Union at the time.
You were actually in the room with JFK. Tell me exactly at the peak of the crisis what was happening.
Yes, I was there, and it was scary. No one in the world knew how close we were. I think at the key point, we were thinking we have 4 hours to decide everything, and otherwise everything goes off.
And you were what, 25, 26?
No, I think I was the ripe age of 28.
28, okay.
But I was the go-between between McNamara and JFK and McGeorge Bundy, who was the NSC director. And, it was a time when Jack Kennedy brought to Washington a lot of young, fresh minds, most of them economists. I was in that crowd. And our job wasn't to tell people with experience what to do, but ask a lot of questions, get people to think outside the box. And so I was there conveying questions like, okay, if we go, what do we hit? I mean, if we hit Moscow and it only goes on a few hours and we want to stop, who do we talk to?
At the end.
At the end, yeah. And a bunch of generals, including the Strategic Air Command chief over in the Pentagon, said, well, of course we have to go and not worry about that. We've got to kill those guys in Moscow. They created all this trouble. And I said, but are we ready to go over there and govern Russia? And then everybody said, no, we're not planning on that. I said, well, then if you want to stop, who do you talk to? Why don't we just agree that hitting Moscow is the last thing we want to do? And then one of the generals said, that's the best damn question that anybody's ever raised. He said, then let's leak that to the Russians, and so they won't hit Washington either, and we're all safe. And
I'm glad to see the profound self-interest.
Here's Mr. Malmgren saying, in the critical hours of the Cuban Missile Crisis, on final day just before Khrushchev backed away, Curtis LeMay wanted authority to make surgical nuclear strikes on USSR to teach Soviets a lesson, quote unquote. I persuaded the rest of attendees to back off if Khrushchev did. He angrily stormed out. So essentially, Mr. Malmgren prevented a nuclear catastrophe back in the days of the Cold War. He was the man. So just so you know how important he was. So a few days ago, I caught an article on the Liberation Times where Chris Sharp is the lead over there, but Australian researcher Geoff Cruikshank, he wrote an opinion and insight into an operation that took place on October 26, 1962. It was called Operation Fishbowl, or they conducted the Bluegill triple prime nuclear test. And it was a subset of another operation called Operation Dominic. When that happened, that nuclear test, this article reveals that a UFO crashed right after the test, and that Dr. Malmgren played a part there. This is what Dr. Malmgren wrote right after the article. He said, I want to thank Chris Sharp for publishing Geoff Cruikshank's deep dive into the events around one missile test in 1962 that I worked on in my capacity as an advisor to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He has done an excellent job of explaining the significance of the test. It helps us understand why JFK, LBJ, and soon after I myself all rushed to visit Los Alamos National Lab soon afterwards, meaning Dr. Malmgren, JFK, and Johnson visited Los Alamos to see, I don't know if it was the test or if it was due to the UFO that was brought down. But then Malmgren wrote right after the article, Mr. Risberg, who wrote the book of the simulation theory, the Stanford scientist, he asked, Harald, why do you say in retrospect? Did he not give any indications at the time? This question stems from another question that he was asked, Sir, how knowledgeable do you think Curtis LeMay was on the topic of UAP? Malmgren responded, in retrospect, years after, very knowledgeable. And then the question came from Riesberg. And did he not give any indications at the time? Malmgren responded, at the time, LeMay made only a passing reference to UFOs, but I later discovered he had long been deeply investigating any info gathered about the UFO phenomena. So LeMay was very much in the know about this during the 60s, early 60s. And then they asked him again, did you know at that time a UFO was brought down? And then Malmgren wrote, as soon as I received a report from Los Alamos in early November, at the same time as a report was made to JFK. Did you guys catch that? So this means that a former presidential advisor who served 4 presidents is confirming that President John F. Kennedy was briefed on UFOs, on this specific UFO that crashed right after the Bluegill triple prime nuclear test as part of Operation Fishbowl and a subset of Operation Dominic?
Well, for people who don't know, that was a nuclear test, quote-unquote test, in space. And we learned quite a lot from that test. It was the main test where we really were able to study and learn about EMP. This was also happening during, oddly enough, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's right,
So when
1962.
when the whole world was focused on the Cuban Missile Crisis, something else was going on. And that something else may have brought something down. And that something that brought down we may have learned a lot about that, about EMP specifically, and its ability to catch things that are hiding, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And that's...
But I was told something really, really, really important. The entire Cold War, we were working with the Soviet Union. We were together with them. And it was the one thing that kept the Cold War from going hot, was our relationship together on this issue. We weren't dumb and just went and lit up a nuke when we were in a standoff with Russia, you know, at the Cuban Missile Crisis, where everyone's like, oh my God, we're all going to die. And we said, well, then we might as well do a nuke test. You know, it's like, no, it didn't work that way. They knew we did the nuke test. They were probably in the room with us when we did that test, because there was a small group of people on both sides that were trying to do exactly what they did, which was fly swat some bugs out of the sky. Now, what we found,
Bluegill triple
prime, was different than what we found in Roswell. Okay? But equally as important, but a whole nother story all in itself, if that makes sense. And that's all I want to say. Right now.
Okay.
I think this is very, very significant because there's a document that Jesse Michaels actually presents in multiple of his videos, but in his most recent one that talks about Robert Hastings' book, UFOs and Nukes, he talked about it in detail, and he commented that it's a briefing that the former president was asking to be briefed about unknowns. And this document hadn't been confirmed yet. So there was no real confirmation of its authenticity. But the fact that Dr. Malmgren is already talking about this means that that document has a little bit more credibility than we previously thought. Was this one of the reasons JFK was assassinated? That is my question now, because now that Dr. Malmgren has confirmed that JFK was briefed on this specific crash of a UFO, everything changes now, I think, because there had been a lot of conspiracies surrounding the assassination of JFK, but there was always this idea in the back of our minds that maybe he was assassinated because he wanted to know everything about UFOs. And now this. So I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this, because I think it's very, very significant. And also, I want to do a few recommendations, because yesterday, Jesse Michaels released a brilliant video about the UFO and nuclear connection. He claimed that it's the most important video he's ever done on his channel. I don't know if I agree, because he has so many that are so good. The one about Thomas Townsend Brown, I think it's more important than this one. But this one is really important as well. And I want to leave it in the description so you guys can check it out. I'm just going to play a little clip of it right here.
He gets a phone call one night. He and his wife come
home from a movie, the phone rings.
Looks like we got a UFO.
What the fuck is that, bro?
He was like, I think Lou has seen the video. So you've seen the video.
Yeah.
So you know this is a real thing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Literally could not get a breath of air. It was just all encompassing.
All 10 missiles were off alert, all 10.
You can kind of guess if there is a UFO sighting, there might be a nuclear connection there.
Weeks of mysterious drone sightings.
No, that ain't no plane, yo.
They aren't drones. The U.S. Air Force lies.
The things that we can't release have nothing to do with the questions you guys are asking.
They were in a no-go condition.
So they're trying to start World War III.
They're doing it because we're...
That was a clip that Jesse himself posted on his Twitter account. But you guys have to check out the whole documentary, because that's a documentary, a full-blown documentary. Then also, there is Joe Rogan today on December 24th. He released his interview with James Fox, and they talk about the program, and they talk about many more things. So I'm also going to leave that in the description. No clip here, because I don't know if it's his company or something, but they get really hit and miss with the copyright stuff. So I'm not even going to try. But I recommend that too. But I want to hear your thoughts about Dr. Malmgren, because I think, and this is the hunch that I have, I think that he is going to be tied to whatever new information comes out that is highly, highly credible about UFOs. Him, his daughter, Pippa Malmgren, and Mr. Matthew Pines, who is close friends with both of them. I think they may have some good information to release over the next few weeks. And I would keep an eye out on all three of them. You need to turn on notifications on all three of them. If you use X, that's where they're the most active, all three of them. So you guys can see if something comes out soon, because I don't know. I don't know anything really, but the trend that I see between all three of them suggests that they may have something that they're going to reveal soon. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. Just a hunch. That's it. But let me know what you think about Dr. Malmgren's resume. He's been at it for a while now. So I would listen to what he has to say, if I'm being honest. I mean, he saved the damn world from the Cold War. So that should be more than enough to just at least pay attention, right? So yeah, that's it for me today. I want to wish everyone a happy Christmas. I'm going to try and deliver a new video tomorrow. But for now, if you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon. And if you want to support the channel in any other way, I'm going to leave a few links in the description. Take your pick. Every help is always appreciated. So thank you. And I'll see you guys until tomorrow's video. Please drive safe, stay with your family, and open every present you can. I love you all. See you tomorrow. Bye.